We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today I've got 3 super easy tips that you can do right now to catch more fall bass. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Got him. Oh, and that's good too. That's a good one. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and as I said in the intro, I've got some really simple and easy tips for you to do today. And best of all, you can do these right now with what you have around you. You're not going to need any special equipment or special items, and you shouldn't have to spend any extra money. They're just simple, common sense things that I've learned over the years. So let's get right into it, because I kind of want to do a little bit of a deep dive here. And first and foremost is something that I've been beating on since I started this channel, and that is change up your baits. Now, I don't know about you, but I go out on the lake and I can't use the same lure over and over again. Those bass adapt and change a lot quicker than we give them credit for. You know, you think that you've got a few days or maybe a week with a particular kind of lure, but guess what? Most times you've got a day at most in that same area, and sometimes just a matter of a couple of hours, and in extreme instances, just a few casts before those bass catch on to what it is you're doing, and they won't bite it anymore, at least not for a while. So we need to change up. Now, as many of you know, I've been using this lately, a little Bone Colored Spook Junior, and I have been tearing them up with this. Also with this, a Boy Howdy. This is the prop one, right? You guys have seen both of these baits many times on this channel, especially lately. And I have been tearing them up with those, you know, but I need to change things up. I need to keep those bass guessing. So I made a change to this. I've been working this the past few times I've been out more than I have the Spook or the Boy Howdy. This is a great change of pace bait. It allows me to still mimic those fluttering, dying shad that are on the surface whenever, you know, I can reel this a little bit more slowly. I can pop it and start it just a little bit differently than just a straight burning retrieve, kind of, you know, up and down, fast and slow. And I can actually draw some really nice bites. And it's a great change of pace bait. So changing up to something like this can be a no-brainer. It's simple to do. It's what I've already got. So I just tie this on, and this basically is replacing that Spook. This is my faster covering water type of presentation. Now, what am I doing to replace that Boy Howdy? Well, I've got another old school lure that you guys have seen me use the past couple of times out, and that is this Heddon Torpedo Junior. In the last video, you saw my uncle use this to great effect. And today, I was able to go out here on the water, and these conditions are not ideal for topwater. Today, we've got wind, we've got cloud, we've got some really rolling waves. And I'm telling you what, I can still catch fish on topwater out here in the middle of November. But what I did was I changed up to this torpedo, this little torpedo here. And I like these because I can fish these in a couple of different ways. I can slowly wind them in, straight retrieve them, something very akin to a whopper plopper, something very much like that. You get that bubble, you get that gurgle, you get that nice trail that it leaves. But another way that I can do it is I can use it very much like I'm using one of these. And that is, give it a couple of rips and let it pause. Let it go about 3 or 4 inches, if that, just enough to get that prop going. Leave a few bubbles, let it spit, and that does great for me. That was able to be the deal today. That little stutter and stop presentation is what I was getting my bites on today. So changing up what I was using was the deal. That way, whenever I want to go back to using a Spook or a Boy Howdy, those options will be there. When it comes to changing up your presentations, it doesn't always have to be about changing your bait. Sometimes we can be more subtle, right? We can change the color of what we're using. Sometimes a little bit of a color change, like instead of fishing this bone one, I can use a baby bass colored one, or I can use a chrome one. That also will change up your presentation and give those bass a different look. It doesn't always have to be so drastic as completely changing the lure that you're using. Sometimes changing the color. And another way is change how we're fishing it. As I said, I have several options when it comes to fishing that little Torpedo Junior, and I use them, whether I'm doing a long, slow retrieve or whether I'm doing starts and stops with it. I'm changing my presentation. I'm changing how I'm working that bait. So again, that gives me versatility, that gives me a change of pace, and it keeps those fish guessing. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. If I can keep those fish guessing, I can keep those bass guessing. They're never going to get accustomed to what it is that I'm using. Got him. Oh, and that's good too. That's a good one. Oh, I got his back, that's why. I got him in the back. Let's get him up here quick so he can get me. He slapped at it. Oops, hang on, let's get you by the mouth. See if we can get you undone. Oops, I can get myself undone. Didn't mean to get you in the back like that, buddy. Yeah, a little pound and a quarter bass. Not bad, not bad. He came up and got it, and then he did that. On the old head and torpedo, he slapped at it and ended up hooking himself. Thank you. Alright, there he goes. Now, next up, I want to talk about colors. And that is, we need to pay attention to the colors that we're throwing. Don't just pick them, willy-nilly or whatever. Pay attention to your surroundings, the conditions that you have at your lake, your fishery at any given time. Do we have overcast skies? Do we have wind? What's the water clarity? What is the mood of those bass? What are they feeding on? What is the prey species that we're feeding on, So you have to take that in consideration. It's about what those bass can see, but it's also about what they're going to find appealing. Obviously on a day like today, I want to throw something that I feel has got a darker contrast to it. So today I was working this swim jig, but instead of having a darker trailer, I actually went with a little bit lighter trailer. And the reason for that is I wanted this paddle tail to kick just a little bit and flutter this skirt some. But at the same time, I didn't want this trailer to be the focus. I kind of wanted it to blend into the background. So I kind of went with a green and blue. So the jig itself was going to be the standout. And I chose this color jig, obviously, because we've got overcast skies. We've got a lot of wind. We've got some wave action that's rolling. So I wanted to be sure that those bass could pick this up underwater, that it would be something that they could see easily and something that they would be attracted to as a natural part of their ecosystem, not something that's going to be so jarring that they'll see it, but they're not going to have anything to do with it. And a lot of times when it comes to picking colors, we want to pick the brightest, loudest things that we can, something chartreuse or merthiolate. But we have to remember how those bass see underwater. Their eyes are not like our eyes. They're colorblind. Chartreuse and white look pretty much the same to them. They see greens and they see reds. Those are what they see the most. And you have to say, well, how does that stand out under the water in the conditions that I'm given? And pick our colors accordingly. You have to think about what they can see, not what you can see, and give them the best presentation available based on that. Pick your colors accordingly. And I guarantee you, if you start thinking about what the bass are going to be able to see and what they're going to be attracted to when you're picking your colors, you will find that you're going to get a lot more interest in your baits and you're going to be getting a lot more bites. It's just that simple. Now, lastly, I want to talk about something that just seems so simple, but at the same time, a lot of guys don't think about it. And that is, you can always go more finesse, right? Take a Texas rigged worm, for example. You can take and put a Texas rigged worm and you can put a bullet weight on it and you can go out there and you can fish. And a lot of guys will say that's finesse fishing. However, you can also take that weight off of it and you would have a weightless Texas rig. And we say, okay, well, that's even more finesse. And then we can go all the way, right? And that would be a wacky rig. You take that stick bait, you take a hook, and you stick it perpendicular together, and that bait just floats down. That worm just eases down in the water, sometimes agonizingly slowly. So we can always go more finesse. And a couple of ways to do that is not just by the weights, but by the tackle that we're using. See, today I wanted to go really uber finesse with my weightless fluke. You guys know I love to throw a weightless fluke. So today I've actually got it on a spinner combo, and the reason being is because I've got a light wire 1/0 EWG hook that I'm using with this soft plastic jerkbait. I wanted it to have a gentle glide going down into the water. I want it to look like a shad that was just, giving up its last gasp of life and just easing down into that water. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with a lot of this stuff. You can always find a lighter Ned rig head. You can always go a little bit more finesse. And in the fall, sometimes finesse is going to be the only way you are going to get bites. Now, you can try to go loud and you can try to burn your crankbaits and you can try to do a lot of power fishing, and you may actually have just a little bit of success. But I'm telling you, going finesse a lot of times is going to be what gets those bass attention. It's going to be what puts them in the mood to strike, because the water's cold. They don't have a lot of energy. They don't have a lot of activity that they want to do. They don't feel like chasing bait. So a lot of times you just got to float it down and make it really easy for them. And I guarantee you will see much better results if you can find ways to get even more finesse with your presentations, because there's always a way to run something, to rig something in a more finesse style. And a lot of times, well, that's where those bites are going to be. So there you have it. 3 super simple tips that you can do right now, and they shouldn't cost you a single dime. They work so well, and it's just common sense a lot of the times. I know if you use these tips and keep these ideas always in the back of your mind, you will get more bites and land more fish. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.